These cells have just really kind of spiked up over the last 15 to 20 minutes here. So I'm gonna do a little reset. There we go, and that puts everything back on. So there's the big picture. Within these two potential tornado warnings, we've got severe thunderstorm warnings as well. So this entire big cluster here that's racing across southern southeastern Kentucky, really packing a punch. And again, it's intensified. We were just kind of on the northern edge of the severe threat, and it really looked like things were kind of winding down this evening here, but it's bumped into, again, a lot of warm, moist, and fairly unstable air. You see all the lightning associated with it here. So one cell here north of Honeybee, you see the tornado warning polygon, which again is the southern part of Laurel Lake. And ironically, the city of Corbin and also Rockholds and then up toward Woodbine, but really Corbin and the south side of the city, you're in two tornado warning polygons, one for the cell that is just off to your northeast. So I think you're in pretty good shape there, but also the one here that is coming out of northern McCreary County and eventually going to run into the northern part of Whitley County, just right there south of Corbin. So we have the southern part of Laurel County, we've got Knox County, we've got Whitley County, and also McCreary County. So those areas. Now in Williamsburg proper, it is all to your north. So you should be in pretty good shape in that regard. There's Williamsburg there. So you're not in the severe thunderstorm warning or the tornado warning. But again, Rockholds up toward Corbin, Laurel Lake, Honeybee. Let me take the lightning data off here, and that'll give you a little better idea of what we're looking at here, and then we'll kind of squeeze down. So it's these two areas right here, right where the skit data is here, north of Corbin, between Corbin and Lilly, right there in that part of Laurel County, and then right here north of Honeybee, just coming up on Youngs Creek and eventually running up on I-75, which is right here. Those are the two areas of concern. I was showing you a minute ago where, now we don't have any shear markers. It's really earlier this morning, if you were watching meteorologist Dylan Goday, those cells that eventually did produce some possible tornadoes and even a confirmed one there in Rockcastle County, they did have our rotating shear markers with them. These have not, but nevertheless, you don't want to take any chances with these, as these have really ramped up. Don't want to take a look at the velocity data, again, which shows us what the winds are doing relative to the radar site here. And usually you can kind of see the colors side by side. So where it's a little bit lighter there, just to the east of Honeybee against the darker green, there's your possible circulation. And also here, just to the east of Corbin, it's not quite as pronounced as it was a little bit ago, but I'll circle them for you here. Right there we see the red and green. The greens are going toward the radar site, which is up here at Jackson and Breathitt County, and the red, of course, here is going away. So you get those side by side here, and that's when you run into some issues with circulation and rotation, and may eventually get you a little bit closer to the ground here. So I want to go in just a little bit closer on this and see. There's really nothing overly pronounced. Taking a look at the shear, again, we're not seeing as that green speck that we had when we first came on just a little bit ago. And looking at the 1 hour shear, had a little bit more rotation on that one back when it was off to the west and southwest. And it's pretty much the same thing with the cell that's about to move into the northern part, northwestern part of Whitley County. But the current shear right now, this one again, a little bit more pronounced. Youngs Creek, also Rockholds, again, which is south just down the interstate there. This is all south of exit 29 and 25 there in Corbin. So these cells, again, really packing a punch here. And I am going to kind of broaden things out a little bit to give you more of a bird's eye view as to what's happening. Also, besides what we've got here across southern Kentucky, these couple here are actually showing a little bit of a notch before these were put out. I was taking a look at some of the radar data, just watching these cells there, and I noticed that they were exhibiting the structure of possibly having some rotation with them. And right now, again, there's just a severe thunderstorm warning out for that cell, but it looks like it's heading over toward Mosul at 747 and Stinnett, so you might, and Spring Creek as well. So you might want to just kind of be in a safe place with that area just off to the east and southeast of Manchester there, really just southwest of Hyden there in Leslie County, Clay County, with that severe thunderstorm warning until 7:45. But the two that we're watching right now, we have two different tornado warnings. You can see the red polygons here. Here's Corbin. That cell is now to your east. Barberville, you're in the polygon, but the worst of it looks like it's going to pass by to your north. Whitley City and McCreary County, Williamsburg and Whitley County, it's to your north as well. Take a look at the updated SCIT data here on that one. The BTI, again, it's a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. It's at 2.6, so it's not overly high. Those cells this morning that did eventually produce a confirmed tornado there in Rockcastle and possibly Owsley County were as high as about 5.5 to even 6. So that's something to keep in mind. It is jumped a little bit, looking at the potential of some severe hail upward to 1 inch, which is essentially quarter size or greater. And that's mainly been the big threat with these storms, at least it was until we started to see those signs of rotation. But here with the southern tornado warning, at least of the two that are impacting Whitley and up into Laurel County, Walden 744, Thunder Mountain Speedway at 743. Again, Rockholds at 750. And even though Corbin's kind of in the northwest corner of the cone here with the SCIT data, that's at about 750. This one now east of Corbin, again, these are the two. So Tuttle at 739, that's in about 9 minutes. Girdler at 743, Woolham 749, and Hammond at 757. So if you're east of Corbin, north of Barberville there, just generally in that Laurel, Whitley, and Knox County area, you want to be in your safe place. Go to a basement. If you don't have a basement, go to an interior room, the lowest level of your home, preferably a closet, bathroom. You want to get away from exterior windows and walls. A lot of times these possible tornadoes, you know the drill if you've lived around here for any length of time. They can be quick hitters. They can drop down, create a little bit of isolated, concentrated damage, and then lift back up. So obviously better safe than sorry here. I'm going to step off just for a second, check out the Weather Service chat and see if we got any additional info from the Weather Service at all. Haven't seen anything in that regard. It looks like the Storm Prediction Center has now put out a severe thunderstorm watch until midnight tonight. I guess these cells are getting strong enough here to where they're going to potentially cause some problems as we go through the remainder of the evening here. And again, just some of the structure as far as the storm structure based on the reflectivity looks like over toward Hyden there on the right side of your screen. You see that little bit of a notch there with a couple of those off to the east. That could potentially even spin something up as well. Just kind of glancing over some of the advisories and warnings that have come out. Nothing really to update. Again, the one is for southwestern Knox, northeastern McCreary, and northern Whitley until 7:45. So we've got about another 30 or about another 13 minutes, that is. And then the other tornado warning. The initial one, that was for southeastern Laurel, Knox County, north central Whitley, and southwestern Clay. That is until 7:45. So those are the two that we have ongoing right now. So we're going to stick with this here, especially given the environment that we have down here into southern Kentucky. So the cell, I'll just circle them because, again, it just looks like a big blob of paint thrown on a wall. So it's this cell that is just to the east of Corbin now. And see if I can get it here and, get the telestrator here. So this right here where the skit data is, and this cell here, which is really either side of Corbin. And again, where you see the arrow, that's the trajectory of each of these. So eventually this is going to run over into parts of southwestern Clay County. There's Manchester. It's going to pass by to your south. You are not in the tornado warning polygon, but you are in Barberville and Corbin. You're not in Williamsburg, but you are across the north central part of Whitley County here. So there are your warnings. Again, let's check the skit data again just to see where we are with the BTI. It's still fairly low. Same communities that we mentioned as you move off to the east here, and then with the other one that is running over just north of Williamsburg, it just actually adjusted a little bit. I mentioned Thunder Mountain Speedway here, along with Rockholds, Woodbine. For the most part, Rockholds, it looks like it's going to head your way. And again, if you're in Barberville, closer to the top of the hour, we're at 7:40 or we're at 7:34 before 8 o'clock. If this holds together, that's going to be in your particular area. So southern Kentucky, we just, you know how it is with Kentucky weather around here. We go from one extreme to the other, and that's where we've ended up. And I mentioned, again, these cells here that are off just to the southeast of Manchester and really south of the Hal Rogers Parkway, closer to Hyden there. Let me put the telestrator on here real quick. You see that little bit of a notch right there? That's typically almost showing a little bit of a notch or a hook, and just based on some of the storm structure and what we were seeing relative to the velocity data a little bit ago, wouldn't be surprised if we even get a quick spin up there through parts of Leslie County and then over south of Hazard there in Perry County as well. So the track relative to there, some of the communities, again, Mosel and Stinnett coming up here within the next 15 to 20 minutes. And those communities south of the Hal Rogers Parkway and south of Hyden there. In Leslie County, you got a severe thunderstorm warning here for about another 10 minutes. So let me broaden things out here a little bit and just kind of give you the big picture. Here in Lexington, we're good because the storms are actually more elevated, and here in Lexington the rain has ended. Now Richmond, Berea, and then out into eastern Kentucky, this is just general rain. I've taken the lightning data off just because it has a tendency to get in the way. Notice how the lightning strikes are much less than they were a little while ago. But with these cells down here, it's a completely different story. A lot of lightning and the potential for some larger hail. So that's something to keep in mind. Just because I've got the lightning data off doesn't mean that there isn't prolific lightning with these cells that we have down here. So let me take a look at the hail real quick, because that's another thing that could potentially be a little problematic here. So our 1 hour hail, you see these all have a history of producing some larger hail, probably upwards of, again, a quarter size, maybe even golf ball size, especially where you see some of those darker shaded colors. And then we've been talking about the shear, and that shows where the rotation potentially is, and where you see that little bit of green there, just off to the east of Barberville, or east of Corbin, excuse me, and northwest of Barberville, and then also right along Interstate 75. You see the skit marker is literally right over the interstate there. That one again moving toward Thunder Mountain Speedway, Rockholes, Woodbine, Arkle. That'll be within the next half hour. The BTI a little bit higher than it was, but it's nothing off the charts. But again, these are generally weak tornadoes that will spin up very, very quickly, and then they'll be gone in a fairly short period of time. So, showing you one more time here what the winds are doing relative to the radar site, and what you're looking for with the storm winds here toward the radar, which is up here at Jackson, is in green, and away from the radar is in red. So I'm going to press a little bit closer here, and then we'll move it off to the side. And of course, the red boxes you see, those are the tornado warning polygons. We've got about another, I think, 7 or 8 minutes here. And it's this area right here, get that off of there so you can see it a little bit better, where you have the green and the red. This is where the circulation is. So along Interstate 75 here, just south of Corbin, south of exit 25, if you're in Rockholds, you want to be in your safe place right now, because that's actually showing some decent rotation as it works off to the east. Even though the BTI is low and we don't have our shear marker, these can, again, produce a quick spin up tornado, EF0, EF1, and then they're out of there in fairly short order. Now, the radar just updated there, so we'll clear it off. This is the other area right up here. Now just to the south of Tuttle, it's east of Gray. I think you folks in Corbin and then back toward Laurel Lake, you're clear for now relative to the potential of seeing a tornado. But north of Barberville, there's Woolham, I mentioned that. There's Hammond, I mentioned that community. These are all inside the tornado warning polygon. And where we've got the reds and the greens close to each other, that's where we're essentially looking at this possible rotation. So let me stick the reflectivity data back on here so you can just see how obviously heavily it's raining. And that's the beauty of the more sophisticated radar, because typically you would look at this and it would be very, very difficult to pick out where the potential tornado is. But with the technology, that helps tremendously. So the southern tornado warning, meaning into the northern part of Whitley County here, north of Williamsburg and just to the south of Corbin, toward Rockholds, Walden, there's Thunder Mountain Speedway. I mean, it's basically right about the Speedway now. They got about 5 minutes in Rockholds, and again, showing you that velocity data, and the BTI is up a touch. It's still low, but again, these probably are generally quick little spinners, and then eventually it'll work its way off to the east here. So that one appears, of the two where we have the tornado warnings, appears to be a little bit more organized than what we have up here, even though it, of course, is still ongoing. And then here's the other one. It's east of Gray, south of Tuttle, southwest of Woolham there. And so it's headed toward the Hammond area. And anytime you see, again, that little bit of a notch right there, that could mean, you know, some inflow being drawn in as you're getting the rotation around there. So just kind of keep that in mind there in that particular area. So Hammond, again, if you're in Hammond, you've still got your tornado warning here for about, I believe, another 5 minutes, and it has it in your neck of the woods at about 7:53. So what's gone on over the last 24 hours, here it is in early February. This is a great reminder to always have a way to get your warnings and always be prepared for severe weather any time of the season, because I think a few weeks ago we were dealing with sub-zero temperatures, and now we've got the potential for some quick spin-up tornadoes down here across parts of southern Kentucky. So broadening things out here, and I actually see what appears to be another tornado warning, and it's that same cell that we were talking about here over south of Hyden across the southern part of Leslie County. So with this one, tornado warning again, Leslie County, that goes until 8:15. So we got about a half an hour on this one here. And let's see, I think it probably extends, it extends down into Harlan County. This was a cell that I was talking about relative to the bit of rotation that it appeared it was exhibiting. So we have 3 different tornado warnings now across parts of southern Kentucky here. Let me get rid of that, and then we'll kind of move things over a little bit here and kind of line them up for you. So here's tornado warning number 1 in between Corbin and Williamsburg, south of Corbin, north of Williamsburg. Here's tornado warning number 2, which is across the northern part of Knox County going up into southwestern Clay County, just on the north side of Barberville, it appears. It's just in this area right here, and as I mentioned here, we've got yet another one over here to the south of Hyden. So there's Hyden, here's the Hal Rogers Parkway, Asher, which is down in the central part of Leslie County. Here's your skit data on that one. Let's see if I can find it with all the colors. It has a tendency to be a little difficult. So there's your tornado warning. Mosel 746. I mentioned that community a little while ago for that cell that had the little hook signature, and then Leatherwood, which is actually over south of Hazard in the southern part of Perry County near the Leslie County line. On this particular one, got the potential of some severe hail, about 30%. The BTI, it is about 2.5. So really anywhere here across southern and southeastern Kentucky, you really need to keep an eye on these things. Bell County, Harlan County, and then eventually over toward Perry County, Knott County as well, because these are holding their own and eventually will be heading your way. So want to take a look at the sheer potential on our newest tornado warning, which is right here. In fact, let me go in just a little bit closer, and where you see the green here, this right here, that's where the radar algorithm is picking up on the potential for rotation. So that is in Leslie County, south of Asher. It's pretty well to the south of Hyden. So it's eventually going to head over into the southeastern part of Leslie County. So we got, again, just a number of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings ongoing across southern Kentucky here, and this has been going on for a little while now. So there's the Kentucky-Virginia border, and so these things again are lined up. I think they have allowed the tornado warnings that were impacting Whitley, Laurel, Knox, McCreary, and the other one across the northern part of Whitley. I think those have gone away as of 7:45. So we have the one tornado warning here for Leslie County over into Hardin County, or Harlan County, excuse me, until 8:15. So we got about another 30 minutes on this one here. Any of these going to produce some very heavy rain. Don't forget about that as well. This area has been worked over by some pretty torrential rain over the last day or so. We had a number of flash flood warnings with the morning event as some heavier rain moved through. You see all the lightning associated with it as well, and I'm actually going to get rid of that because you can see things a little bit better. So here are the 2 cells that had the potential tornado and prompted the tornado warning. They are now severe thunderstorm warnings, but you're not necessarily out of the woods here. So our skit data tracking that storm northeast of Williamsburg over toward Barberville. Again, the BTI is still fairly low. The hail potential and severe hail potential has increased, maybe closer to golf ball size with this cell. and you're looking at Barberville at 803, Knox Central High School at about 808, and Flat Lick at about 817. So these things, again, they're going to get kind of right on the edge and the fringe of our viewing area here shortly. And the cell that is east and northeast of Corbin, so kind of a 1-2 punch there. The hail a little less. Again, torrential rain. These things are moving off to the east-southeast at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Hammond, Field, and Kettle Island. Kettle Island earlier today, some of those initial storms that developed down into Bell and Harlan County, you had not to this intensity, but nevertheless, you had some of that in your area as well. But I want to go in a little bit closer here with the tornado warning, and this is the area. Even though the skit data isn't picking up on it, it's this little, almost what appears to be a hook right here in this area right here. That's where we may be seeing the possible tornado, because as you see, it is within that tornado warning polygon, Leslie County, and then it stretches just over into the northern and north central part of Harlan County. There's Everett's there. So that, again, could potentially spin something up fairly quickly, get rid of the warning there, and then kind of put the brakes on this thing. I'm going to go a little bit closer, and then we'll pull up the shear and see how we're doing in that regard. And again, it's the rotation detector. It'll give us an idea, and there it is. Right there in that area. This is off to the east and southeast of Asher. That's I think that's 421 there. It's so small it's kind of hard to see, but it's in this area. Let me broaden it out to kind of get a little bit more of a bird's eye view. So it's kind of rural southeastern Leslie County, and eventually over into Harlan County here. We'll draw a little closer and see if we can hit some of the smaller communities where the potential rotation is. So there's your potential rotation. You got Lewis Creek, Napier, Big Laurel, Divide, and then over toward Pine Mountain here. That's along US 119. We show you that camera a lot, especially during the winter. That's out of the tornado warning polygon, but it's this area right here in green. That's our rotation detector. It is in the moderate. If you see that red in there, that's usually a little better indication of the potential of a tornado. But again, with this environment, it could drop something fairly easily, and the shear as far as history over an hour, it's showing that it has been exhibiting some signs of rotation as it has worked east now of US 421, Asher, Mosel. You go behind the banner, that's where Hyden is, and then down here toward Helton, and then you've got War Branch. There as well. So back to the reflectivity, and there's that little bit of a hook right there in that area. Even though the skit data isn't picking up on it, centering on it, if you're in Lewis Creek, Napier, even the Chapel area, want to be in your safe place, a basement. If you don't have a basement, go to an interior room, lowest level of your home. This is the debris detector, not really seeing too much, anything jumping out. Typically, if you have a tornado touchdown and it lost the debris, you'll get a little drop in the CC, and usually it's more of a bit of a blue tinge compared to the red around it. So not catching much there in that regard. Obviously, this thing's got a good bit of hail with it, as you can clearly see with the 1 hour hail tracker, and looking at the storm relative velocity here on this thing shows you what the winds are doing relative to the radar site. It's this area right here. Remember, in green, radar's up here. In Jackson, green's going away, or green's going towards, red is going away. So it's right here, as I mentioned, in the Lewis Creek, where you got the red and the green right there in that area together. That's where we have the possible tornado there in extreme southeastern Leslie County, and then about to jump into Harlan County. So suddenly we've gone from 0 to 60 in a fairly short period of time. Let me broaden things out here because actually, yeah, we're picking up on our shear marker here. Anytime you see that rotation there, and that's the cell that is off to the east of Barberville. So that's where we've got the tornado warning for Bell County until 8:15 and for Knox County. So the Weather Service has decided to extend that tornado warning there for Knox County and over into Bell County. And the fact that we have this marker, that's usually a little bit better of an indicator of the fact that we have some rotation in this cell. Corbin, you're good. It is to your east. Barberville, this part of the cell, a lot of heavy rain, and again, just to quickly show you, tons of lightning with this, but it's this little area near Hammond, and I've mentioned that multiple times since we've been on for more than a half hour now. This is the part of the cell that we're most concerned with. That's where the shear marker is. The BTI is still relatively low, but again, the algorithm is usually pretty good on picking up where that possible rotation is. So Hammond, here you are at 8:04. If you're in the Hammond community, you want to be in your safe place. Basement's best. If you don't have a basement, interior room, lowest level of your home, preferably a closet or a bathroom. You want to get away from exterior windows and walls. And if you live in a mobile home, that's not the place to be, even in a brief and relatively weak tornado. Mobile homes generally don't fare very well, so hopefully you've got a predetermined sturdier structure you can go to. I mentioned earlier these out-of-season events, even during the afternoon and evening, especially when we've had the winter that we've had so far, can a lot of times catch folks off guard. But this is the one that we'll really be keeping an eye on here over the next 20 minutes. And I know we got network programming coming up here at the top of the hour, but given the environment, given the fact that we've got 2 different tornado warnings, and this is showing signs of rotation here east of Barberville and off to the south of Manchester and southwest of Hyden there in Leslie County. I definitely want to stay with this because again, when we get that indication, many times that can mean a quick little isolated tornado may end up spinning up. Some other areas down the road, Gardner, Beverly as well. Looks like the Field community here within the next 20 minutes or so. And you're going to get some large hail in these as well. Any of these that are cranking out there across southeastern Kentucky. So I'm broadening it out so you can look at the bigger picture. Now, hopefully we're going to be out of this sooner than later. It's not going to go on all evening because we're running out of real estate. There is your Kentucky-Virginia line. So once these get down more so deeper into Harlan and Letcher County, that'll put them out on the outer fringes of the viewing area, especially when they get past Whitesburg, and at least for the majority of the folks will be in a little bit better shape in that regard. So 2 ongoing tornado warnings here, one to the east of Barberville, Knox County, and into Bell County, and then we have this one for Leslie County that goes into Harlan County as well. I know that we've been concentrating on the other one, but we still have that little bit of a notch here. I am going to step off briefly since flying solo here as we get closer to the top of the hour and take a look and see if we've got any info from Jackson at all. Let's see. Just looking, see if anything from the Weather Service in Jackson. They have not received any reports of tornadoes so far. Report from ham radio in Knox County, some large hail there, some larger hail about a mile north of downtown Barberville. That's where obviously the shear marker has been over the last little bit. And I mentioned that there is a that there is a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until midnight, although I think this is probably going to be allowed to expire early here, although drop it early simply for the fact that, again, these things are kind of moving on down the pike. So let me broaden things out here and head back over to the one that we really want to keep an eye on. Don't want to forget about you folks over here in Leslie County. Again, that one not looking as intense as what we've got here. When you see that circle and that shear marker, that generally means that the radar algorithm is picking up on some rotation, and that just fits perfectly in the tornado warning box that is out until 8:15 for parts of Knox County and then getting over into Harlan County, I believe, as well. Let me check. Yeah, until 8:15. So this is the one front and center that we're worried about more than anything. So Field 8:15, Beverly 8:22, Gardner 8:23. Now, one thing I want to point out, the BTI, that's the Barron Tornado Index, scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. You've been watching for the last 45 minutes. Most of what we've seen across southern Kentucky has been in the 2 to 3 range. This one is up to 4.8. That's why it's a little more urgent, I guess you could say, in this area of Knox County and around the Hammond area. Even though the Weather Service hasn't received any reports of tornadoes or damage yet, you want to be in a safe place in this area east of Barberville, north of Flat Lick. I'm going to go in a little bit closer and name some of the smaller communities there. Let me get that tornado warning off of there. This is the strongest signature that we have had over the last 45 minutes. So there's Hammond. It's this area right here where we have, again, the shear marker. Let's take the reflectivity off and see how we're looking with the shear. Notice how the shear marker is right over top of it, and you actually could see a little bit of red right underneath it. That indicates that that rotation may be just a bit stronger. Now, I know I'm in fairly close, and I've taken the radar reflectivity off of it just so you can kind of get your bearings since we're hitting the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. If you're just joining us, wondering what's going on, where's your regular programming, we got some really, really strong thunderstorms that have ramped up in intensity, putting the reflectivity back on across the southeastern part of the Commonwealth. So we got an ongoing tornado warning for parts of Knox and into Harlan County until 8:15, and for Leslie County and into the eastern part of Harlan County, north of Harlan and Everett. That goes until 8:15 as well. I know it looked like things were settling down, at least even in southern Kentucky, and it looked like it was primarily going to be a hail and a damaging wind threat. But ironically, just before they started to put out these tornado warnings, I was looking at some of the velocity data here, seeing what the winds were doing relative to the radar site, and was noticing that we were getting some of those signatures. And about that time, around 7:15, then the warnings started popping out. And one of the reasons, again, that boundary's laid out across southern Kentucky. It is yet to drop to the south. If you were watching earlier today, we were in the mid-70s in this area, and we had dew point temperatures, which again is a great measure of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. Anything over 60 in the spring and summer feels a little muggy. To get it in February, that makes it even more telling. So here's your potential circulation. Now, the BTI has gone back down, but the tornado warning is still with us, and we're going to hang with this, especially given the shear marker is still showing up. So don't want to cut away from this because this could easily potentially be creating some problems there. So Field at 8:11, Beverly at 8:20, Gardner at 8:22, War Branch and Spruce Pine, which is out here toward the end of the cone, and more so into parts of Leslie County and even Wallens Creek, which is in Harlan County. It's going to be a little while, but it is definitely heading that direction. Actually, I'm going to have to step off here, having hit a button that has taking us way far away from where we want to go. So let me hit play again, and we'll get back to square one here. So let me move you over front and center here, and check the chat one more time while I'm over here and off the key wall. Let's see, just some smaller hail reported. Again, haven't seen anything as far as actual reports of damage, even though we still have, again, our rotation marker on there. All right, we're going to go a little closer. I'm going to take you in a little closer here. A couple things I want to see. I want to see what how the shear data is looking, which again, the algorithm picks up where there's the potential of some rotation, moderate to strong. You see the green right there. That indicates that there is some rotation in that area, and those are the communities. So any of these smaller communities into Knox County and over into parts of Harlan and even Leslie County, you want to be in your safe place. Now, as far as debris is concerned, let me get rid of this here. There looks like there may be a little bit of a drop in the correlation coefficient. The radar is able to look and distinguish between what may be debris that's lofted into the air and what's just plain old rain. Typically, you'll see a little bit of like a bit of a blue tinge to it compared to the yellows and the reds, but there looks to be a little bit of green in there. Not saying that that's happening, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind. 1 hour shear history, you see the red there back north of Knox Central High School. That's in the stronger range. So this thing again, heading toward the field community. It is south of Hammond, and then the current shear right now, there it is, and you see that little bit of red indicating just some stronger rotation. Again, this is into the eastern part of Knox County. Here's Harlan County here, and then over into Leslie County. So it's here in far southeastern Kentucky. If you're watching here in Lexington, all clear. The activity that moved through our area a little while ago, that was elevated. We had some hail, some heavy rain, some lightning with it, but this part of southeastern Kentucky was still in the favored area. And look at the shear now. Again, the algorithm, yes, the shear marker is gone, but the algorithm is picking up on some fairly solid rotation right here in this area where you see the skit data there. The BTI is still fairly low. Definitely think we got some severe hail in that. And it does look like it's, again, heading toward the field community. So I'm gonna go a little bit closer. And I know this is a little unconventional, and you're used to seeing all the bright colors with the reflectivity, but this is really zeroing in on some of those smaller areas there in southeastern parts of Leslie County or Knox County, and then over into southwestern parts of Leslie County, because we've got some decent rotation here with this. Again, tornado warning for about another 10 minutes. Knox County over here into Bell County. Looks like, I don't know if Harlan County's in this as well, and Leslie County. So Bell, Leslie, and back into Knox County. Folks there in Barberville, this is to your east. I'll put the radar back on it just to kind of give you an idea, and then we'll broaden things out here a little more just so you can kind of get your bearings, having been in so close. Still got some very, very heavy rain. Also lightning galore with all of these. I've removed it just so you can see what's happening with the actual locations and with the storms themselves. But these are all prolific lightning makers, and of course they've got the potential of producing some larger hail. In fact, look at the hail tracks on these. This is back 1 hour, so all these that are rolling through. So really the only game in town, so to speak, relative to the tornado warning is what we've got there east of Barberville, north of Pineville, and just to the south of Hyden, which is up here. It's right along the Hal Rogers Parkway. There's Manchester. So it's this area of southeastern Kentucky. And just given what we've seen on radar here, I do want to hang with this until they eventually let this thing hopefully go. You see the pink, that's an indication of some fairly large hail. I mean, that kind of goes without saying there. So I've mentioned field there a number of times. It's about on top of you right now. Let's check the skit data again. So Field, Beverly, Gardner, War Branch, Spruce, Pine, and Longton over the next half hour. Those are the areas that are going to be potentially impacted by what could be a quick spin-up tornado here. We've had, again, a number of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. I think we're up to 4 on the tornado warnings, and they came rapid fire. Where you see the winds going toward the radar in green, away from the radar in red, is right here in this area. This little area right here, right around Field, as we've been talking about. There's Longton, there's Harlan. So it's working its way out of Knox County into southern Leslie, and then eventually may sneak over toward Harlan. So in Harlan County, if you know somebody in Harlan, you might want to give them a heads up, because a lot of times folks are not in the mindset of having severe weather and tornadoes this time of the year, even after what we dealt with this morning. So this is what we've got going on across extreme southeastern Kentucky right now. Hopefully we're going to be done with this here pretty soon. Again, looking at the big picture, Hazard, you're in pretty good shape. There's severe thunderstorm warnings for the, looks like the southern part of Perry County over into Knott County, part of southeastern Leslie County, and then within these severe thunderstorm warnings, you've got the tornado warning. Getting into northern Tennessee, just west of Williamsburg and western Whitley County, you can see how this thing's kind of bowing out. So I wouldn't be surprised along the interstate, basically from, what is it, exit, is it 15 there or 11? Those areas right around Williamsburg, all the way down to the state line within the next 5 to 10 minutes. If there's some potential straight line wind damage there, wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Because you can see how this thing looks like it's kind of bowing out there. It's getting kind of punched in and pushed down to the south. So that's something also to keep in mind. But we're going to be winding this down here pretty soon, because you got other tornado warnings in the more favorable area, but we kind of overachieved yet again across southeastern Kentucky here. So we got 5 minutes to go with the tornado warning here. It is right over the Field community. We've lost the shear marker, which is a good thing. Hopefully that stronger rotation that it was picking up on isn't quite as strong, but here are some of the spots. Beverly, Gardner, War Branch, Spruce, Pine, and Mosel. Between now and the next half hour, this is going to be headed your way. If it keeps working off to the east-northeast at around 30 miles per hour, there's Wallens Creek in Harlan County, there's Harlan in Harlan County. It will stay to your north, but you've got some heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and some larger hail potential with any of this stuff that works off to the east. So you definitely want to keep that in mind here, literally over probably the next half hour or so, as this eventually works through your area and over into Southwest Virginia, and then we can kind of wrap it up for the night. Let me step off here one more minute and see what we've got as far as updates from the Weather Service. They're going to carry things over at all. Don't see anything in the chat relative to reports. So what we've got out there right now is essentially status quo to what we've been dealing with for the last hour. I think the first tornado warning came out at about 7:15, 7:20. So we've been on with you for about an hour here. And these things just really ramped up with the circulation, rapid fire. Any of the yellow polygons, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. And the red polygon here, that is north of Kettle Island, west of Harlan, east of Barberville. Barberville not in it. It's just this small area of Knox County and into parts of Harlan, Bell, and up into Leslie County. That's where the possible rotation is located. And again, I'm going to be interested to see if they extend this, if they don't. Obviously, we're going to put you back to regular programming here. I know we've cut into network, but given the environment, there's your possible signature, again, right around where the skit data is. Looks like we've got a flash flood warning up here. That's for Perry County. It looks to be south of a hazard. Remember, I mentioned that earlier, that this part of the state, southeastern Kentucky, worked over by round after round of moderate to heavy rain this morning. And the way that line was oriented, we ended up with some flooding problems. So we're seeing that now. But this is the part of the cell that's potentially rotating. But the flashing green up there caught my eye. Let me check just the regular shear. There's still some there. It's coming up close to the US 119 corridor, Kettle Island, Wallens, toward Harlan. If they extend it into Harlan County as it gets out to the fringe of our viewing area, we'll send you back to programming and monitor it, especially considering that we haven't gotten any reports from the Weather Service yet. And of course, being in here solo, I haven't had a chance to check social media, but hopefully folks up and down the line here from Barberville to Flatlick over to Field and Hammond have taken the proper precaution, because you see the rotation tracker, the history of it over the last hour here. It has shown some fairly healthy rotation with it. Hopefully it is beginning to weaken out as it gets into an environment that was worked over by some storms a little while ago. So I'm going to pop back off here real quick, and usually they'll give us a heads up if they're going to extend it on. That flash flood warning, by the way, is for Leslie and Perry counties, at least parts of it. Let's see here. Just waiting for this info to get up. And it looks like the tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire. So for now, we can sound the all clear as far as the tornado. Once we hit 8:15 here, the red box will disappear. But folks across southern, southeast Kentucky, you've still got this batch of showers and thunderstorms here, as we've got a lot of lightning with it to still move through your area. South of Hazard, south of Hyden, this area blinking in green, flash flood warning there. If you live in a flood prone area, you need to get to higher ground because you got another round of heavier rain moving in. Again, prolific lightning maker, hail as well. So if you're in southeastern Kentucky, be in a safe place. Keep it right here on ABC 36, and of course, we'll continue to keep you posted.